Hello. This is Max Mura, coming to you with another story from the Tokyo Reporter. This one is old. This is a 1959 cold case, and it deals with a murdered stewardess. Okay, let's get started. Maybe turn on the music a bit. And what we have is, let me have a look. Let me give you a show. This is the Tokyo Reporter, TokyoReporter.com. As I mentioned before, Brett Bull, the editor, publisher, he's kind of revived the channel, and we have it right here. So before Ghosn, I'm talking about Carlos Ghosn, looking back at the unsolved BOAC stewardess murder of 1959, and the Tokyo Reporter staff put this out on May 23rd, 2020. So we can get started here. Maybe I just give you a little picture of, here we go. This is of Tomoko Takekawa. So what we have is Tokyo last week. This is, of course, written May 23rd, 2020. Police in Massachusetts arrested Michael Taylor, a former Special Forces soldier, and his son, Peter Taylor. The pair are wanted by law enforcement in Japan in connection with the dramatic escape of Carlos Ghosn, the French-Lebanese former automotive magnate from Tokyo to Lebanon late last December. While the Taylors are expected to be extradited to Japan, Ghosn, who was under prosecution for a number of financial crimes at the time he fled, remains in Lebanon, out of the reach of Japanese authorities. The flight of Ghosn brings to mind another infamous case involving a foreigner undergoing legal difficulties in Japan. In 1959, police in Tokyo questioned Father Louis Charles Vermeersch, then a 38-year-old Catholic priest, over the murder of airline stewardess Tomoko Takekawa. That's her photo. During the investigation, the Belgian-born priest was never arrested. But like the saga involving Ghosn, the case, which has been never solved, captivated the nation and raised questions about what justice means in Japan. Probably strangled. Okay. Yes. Probably strangled. So what we have here is, let me see if I can make it a little bigger for you here. This is the body of Tomoko Takekawa, which was found in the Zempukuti River on March 10th, 1959. So probably strangled around 7:40 a.m. on March 10th of that year. Masayoshi Kubo, a mail office worker, spotted the body of Takekawa, a 27-year-old stewardess for the British Overseas Airways Corporation, BOAC. You may recall from the lyrics of the Beatles song Back in the USSR. The first stanza is, flew in from Miami Beach, BOAC. That was later merged into what we know as today as BA or British Airways. Anyways, he spotted her body floating face up in the Miyashita Bridge in the Zempukuji River in Suginami Ward. Police identified the body as being that of Takekawa after finding her high heels, scarf, handbag, and parasol scattered nearby. Her body was clothed in a green two-piece suit, a silk blouse, a white bra and corset, white underwear, and nylons, and the body showed no signs of external wounds, which led investigators to finally think it was a suicide by drowning. However, drowning was soon ruled out as a cause of death. Tokyo Metropolitan Police later said that the results of an autopsy conducted at Keio University Hospital showed only a small amount of water in her lungs. Wire Service UPI reported that marks on her neck, quote, indicated that she was probably strangled. The results of the autopsy also revealed that she had the semen of two men, possibly of blood types O and A or AB, in her system and on her underwear, a development that caused police to begin seeking out her associates. Quote, it was for a consultation. In 1948, Father Vermeersch came to Tokyo, where he was ordained. At the time of the incident, he worked as the head of accounting at Don Bosco Home, a publisher of religious titles. The publisher fell under the Salesians of Don Bosco order. The office was the Shimo Igusa Catholic Church in Suginami. He became a person of interest after police learned that his name was written in a notebook belonging to Takekawa. They also learned that the special delivery parcel arrived from the publisher at the dormitory where Takekawa lived on March 7th, 3 days before her body was found. Police believed at the time that a letter from Father Vermeersch inside the parcel asked Takekawa to meet with them, UPI reported, citing a Tokyo newspaper. Okay, what can we see here? This is a photo of, let me make it a little bigger, even still. There we go. I think that's a lot better. This is a photo of Tomoko Takekawa, and she was one of the 8 Japanese stewardesses for the BOAC airline in 1959. So on Sunday, March 8th, 1959, Takekawa, who was a Catholic, attended Mass. Now, if you're wondering, that's not such a big deal. I mean, yes, the percentage of Christians in Japan is small, but I guess of the Christians, there's always been a historical Catholic population. Some of our the Japanese prime ministers are Catholic. Former Prime Minister Hosokawa, and also former Prime Minister and currently Vice Prime Minister Aso Taro. And interestingly enough, Aso Taro's Catholic name, kind of like a middle name, is Francisco. If you know what he looks like, he's kind of a rakish, dapper guy. Actually, I think he did pistol shooting in the Olympics, and I'm not sure if it was 1964 or is before that. Anyways, he's Francisco, but I would never dare call him that. Anyways, so Sunday, March 8th, Takekawa Catholic attended Mass. Later that day, she visited her uncle's residence near the church for lunch. Around 3 p.m., she left for a birthday party in Ushigome, Shinjuku. Hey, that's close to where I live. And she was never seen again. The UPI reported that she was known to have taken the letter when she departed her dormitory earlier that day. The letter was not present upon the discovery of her body 2 days later. Now, although there was speculation in the media that Father Vermeersch had gone missing in April, perhaps he had even fled the country, that was not the case. In fact, he agreed to undergo questioning in the company of a secretary from the Vatican and a lawyer. The priest was grilled by the renowned detective Hachibe Hiratsuka, who presided over a number of high-profile investigations after the end of World War II. The questioning took place in 2 periods, one between May 11th and 13th, and another on May 20th and 22nd. During the sessions, Father Vermeersch admitted to taking Takekawa to a hotel in the Harajuku area of Shibuya Ward. Quote, "It was for a consultation," he reportedly said, denying that they were involved in a relationship. Quote, "That's all that it was." The sessions wore on Father Vermeersch, who began suffering from anemia. At one point, exhaustion caused him to enter a hospital, which wound up stalling the investigation. First flight between Tokyo and Hong Kong. Yes, and so this is an ad of the time, and hopefully you can see it. It's Jet Your Way to Tokyo, BOAC, first around the world with jets. So Takekawa, who was a native of Ashiya City in Hyogo Prefecture, became a Catholic at the urging of her parents. After graduating high school, she came to Tokyo to enroll in the Seibu Junior College of Nursing, which was run by missionaries. She later returned to Ashiya to work as a nurse. However, her plans for marriage were not met with approval by her parents. She went back to the capital to work at the St. Odilia Nursery in Nakano Ward in Tokyo. So Takekawa's aforementioned uncle worked in the sales division of BOAC, the airline that would later become British Airways. In December 1958, she was among 8 Japanese stewardesses selected from over 300 applicants that the airline had. On February 27th, she returned from London after a training session. She was scheduled to make her first flight between Tokyo and Hong Kong on March 13th. Despite Father Vermeersch's aforementioned denial, police learned that they were in a relationship even before she was selected to become a stewardess. Okay, let's have a look at witness accounts. Well, police realized that formally accusing a foreign priest of murder would have international ramifications. However, they seemingly had no target other than the Father Vermeersch. In spite of this, the evidence against him remained circumstantial at best. Although they tried to obtain a saliva sample from him repeatedly during the investigation, it was to no avail. Witness accounts only served to provide intrigue. A female employee at a hotel on Takeshitadori in Harajuku said she recalled seeing a foreigner, a rare occurrence in those days, enter the premises on March 5th, 3 days before Takekawa disappeared. When shown a photograph of Father Vermeersch, she confirmed that he was a foreigner she had seen. The priest drove a white Renault sedan. A woman living near where Takekawa's corpse was found recalled seeing a white sedan nearby at around 5 a.m. on the day of the discovery. When the police presented her with a catalog of vehicles, she confirmed the one she had seen was the same as that was driven by the priest. It was later speculated that he had the tires on the sedan changed after the incident. Ooh la la. Well, we have another photo. I think this is of him. Maximilian de Furstenberg. So, there were the mushrooms. The results of the autopsy revealed that Takekawa, let me see, make sure that's big enough, that Takekawa had eaten a Chinese meal shortly before her death. Amongst the food items found in her stomach were matsutake mushrooms that had been sliced in a recognizable way. Such a product was sold at a shop in front of the JR Ogikubo station. An employee said that he had sold the canned product to a man resembling Father Vermeersch. His character was also questioned. Detective Hiratsuka learned that the priest was seen embracing female staff members at the St. Odilia nursery. He was also accused of sexually harassing them, including fondling their lower bodies, according to Japanese media reports. Yet, most importantly, the priest had alibis for his whereabouts. However, the police did not find them all that credible, since the persons claiming to have been with him were all from within the church. Quote, overly familiar with her. The public learned that Father Vermeersch was a target of the investigation after the NHK program, quote, Japan Unmasked, broadcast on April 12th, and it showed portrait photos of him tacked onto a wall at what is known today as the Yokohama District Immigration Office. From there, other news outlets picked up the story, and it was spread and aided by the fame attached to Detective Hiratsuka, who was a very famous detective. So national sentiment shifted against the priest. One foreign outlet reported, quote, some sensationalist Japanese papers intimated that the missionary murdered Miss Takekawa after being overly familiar with her. Father Vermeersch never issued a public comment on the matter. However, he had support from within the church. The Asahi Shimbun newspaper sought comment on the case from Maximilian de Furstenberg. Oh, I'm sorry. So that photo is Maximilian de Furstenberg. He's the Apostolio Internuncio to Japan, who responded, quote, I believe I can speak on his behalf to declare my solemn conviction of his innocence. Oh, that's a funny phrase. Both as regards this question of murder and the charges of sexual intemperance leveled against him. Those are big words for Max. Anyways, I could just imagine stumbling over the word. I declare my solemn conviction of his innocence. Okay. A man's career and reputation may well be shattered. That's the headline. Even though sentiments in Japan cited against Father Vermeersch, that wasn't necessarily the case overseas. On June 4th, Frank T. Bow, B-O-W, a Republican congressman, read an article from the English-language version of the Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper in the U.S. Congress. Okay? And, I don't know why, but I have a little interesting picture here. It looks like someone did a photo. It's Studio Daiei produced, quote, Stewardess Murder, White or Black in 1959. I don't know if that was based on this story, but if it was, it's pretty fast. Anyways, this article that was read in the U.S. Congress was an article written by a writer going by the name of John Robb, R-O-B-B, and mentioned two high-profile cases, one of which was the murder of Takekawa. In it, Robb wondered whether, quote, fairness was lacking within the Japanese legal system. You quote, now we have the case of the Belgian priest questioned in connection with the murder of a BOAC stewardess. He has been hounded publicly by the police for weeks on end and driven to hospital subjected to all sorts of innuendos, Robb wrote, according to the congressional record. He added, he has no recourse to law because he has never been charged with anything. But to the newspaper reading public, his name must already be smeared. The police have issued no statements one way or another. What does this mean? That the police have decided he is innocent? That they have been unable to gather significant evidence? That they are biding their time? The matter is blithely left in the air. A man's career and reputation may well be shattered, but there is no recourse to any form of legal referee. Okay, quote, stewardess murder. This past January 8th, 2020, so 4 years ago, just days after Carlos Ghosn fled Japan, Carlos Ghosn held a press conference from Lebanon. During the session, he said he left Japan because he had, quote, zero chance of a just trial. Quote, I didn't run from justice. I left Japan because I wanted justice, he said. With no social media or round-the-clock news cycle in place in the 1950s, it is not known what Father Vermeersch felt similarly of his chances for fair treatment, but perhaps his subsequent actions are instructive. On July 10th, 3 days before he was to be interviewed for a sixth time by the police, the priest arrived at immigration at Haneda Airport. The examiner on duty contacted police. However, he was permitted to board an Air France flight out of the country on the following night. Quote, we were not in any way contacted regarding the departure of Vermeersch's son, which is truly regrettable, a police executive was quoted. But since there is no outstanding warrant for his arrest, there is nothing under the law to stop him. Ooh la la. Okay, and I don't know what the significance of this book is, but this is another book. It's an author called Seicho Matsumoto's Black Gospel. I think black means refers to the shadowy, unsavory elements, like murder. A reporter assigned to the London Bureau of the Yomiuri Shimbun was also aboard that same flight. The priest told the reporter that he was returning to Belgium under an order handed out by the church. He also expressed a desire to see his aging parents. Quote, if requested by the Japanese police, it is my intention to accept at any time, at any place, he was quoted in the May 13th evening edition of the newspaper. So very much like Ghosn's exit, the priest's departure was not well received in Japan. The matter was later raised in the lower house's Committee on Judicial Affairs, and an investigation on the handling of the case was then launched. However, it was abandoned after little progress was made. The incident continued to gather attention that year. On October 6, here we have it. The film Stewardess Murder, White or Black, was released pretty fast. The studio Tai film production depicted a foreign priest murdering a Japanese stewardess played by Naoko Kubo. Although promoted as fiction, the film was harshly criticized by the Catholic Church. The next month, the Shukan Koran began publishing a serialized novel, by Seicho Matsumoto, that was based on the incident. And in 1961, the publisher, the Chuo Koran, released the full novel Black Gospel, which became a bestseller. In Matsumoto's version, the priest enlists the stewardess to engage in drug smuggling. He winds up killing her after taking her to a hotel. Oh, I got a great picture. If you know Beat Takeshi, well, here he is. And what is he doing? So, Beat Takeshi, or Takeshi Kitano, he's on the left. He starred in the TV Asahi's adaptation of Black Gospel. And that was in 2014, so almost exactly 10 years ago. Rest in peace. The murderer of Takekawa was never found. Police in Tokyo closed the case on March 10th, 1974, listing it as unsolved. The case, however, remains in the eye of the public. In 1984, an adaptation of Black Gospel written by Kaneto Shindo was broadcast on TBS. PBS Mahi aired its own version starring, here we go, Takeshi Kitano in 2014. That same year, Yoshitaro Ohashi authored the book, quote, Pursuit of the Vanished Priest, Solving the BOAC Stewardess Murder. Whether Ghosn will return to Japan to continue legal proceedings remains in doubt. I would add, highly in doubt. Father Vermeersch never did. On March 17th, 2017, 7 years ago, the priest passed away in New Brunswick, Canada, where he settled after leaving Japan. He was 96 years old. An obituary for the priest appearing in the Telegraph Journal did not mention the murder of Takekawa. One part read, a son of Belgian from a long tradition of farming, Father Vermeersch also became a son of New Brunswick, sowing the word of God in the north, the south, and on the high seas. May he now rest in peace. Okay, so that concludes the telling of the BOAC 1959 murder. It's a cold case. So I'm going to do a few more of these on TokyoReporter.com. These ones are not lifted or translated from Japanese. These ones were original. So these were done by Tokyo Reporter, probably by Brett Bull himself. And if you have any requests, you can always put them in the description. I will have all the links to the article below. And please like and subscribe. And have a very safe weekend. That's all.